Hello, this is a joint work with my supervisors Paul Gasta and B. Srivatsan. In this work, we consider the model of updatable timed automata, where the guards are x compared to n or x minus y compared to n, where x and y are clocks and n is a natural number, and this symbol is either less than or equal to. Now, along with guards, we have updates. So, updates are generalizations of the classical resets. In updates, we can set a value of the clock x to the value of another clock z plus some integer d. Now, this z can be any clock, it can possibly be x as well, and d is any positive or negative integer. So, in the example on the left, our z is actually x and our d is -1. Now, what is the problem that we consider? So, given an updatable timed automaton with a labeled state, it can be many. The question is, are any of these labeled states reachable from the initial state? Now, it was shown in the initial paper that this problem is undecidable when the underlying automaton has at least 3 clocks. This is because we can simulate a 2 counter machine using an updatable timed automaton containing 3 clocks. However, there are several subclasses of updatable timed automaton for which reachability is still decidable. Now the question is, how do we decide reachability in these classes? So let's see. There are 2 methods, but before we go into the methods, let's first define what we call a valuation. So a valuation is a map from the set of all clocks to the set of all non-negative real numbers. So a valuation assigns some non-negative real number to every clock. Now the first method is based on regions. So this is the method that was used in the paper introducing updatable timed automata to show the decidability. And the method on the right is based on zones. This is part of our previous work. So in the method based on regions, we first define an equivalence relation between valuations. And we want the number of equivalence classes that we get out of this relation to be finite. And each of these equivalence classes that are sets of valuations are called regions. Now this relation is parameterized, so we first need to compute the parameter, and this is done via solving a system of linear inequations. And then once we have the equivalence relation, we construct a finite state automaton, and then we check whether a certain state in that automaton is reachable or not. Now the method based on zones, we define a simulation relation between valuations. This simulation relation is also parameterized. This parameter is computed using a fixed point computation. Then once we have the simulation relation, we build what is called a zone graph of the automaton. We will see more about this as we go along in the talk. Now, what goes wrong in the cases where the reachability is undecidable? So on the first method, the system of linear inequations will not have a solution. Whereas on the second method, the fixed point computation to compute the parameters will not terminate. So in general, the method based on regions, the system of linear inequations may not have a solution, and on the method based on zones, the fixed point computation may not terminate. Now in this work, we focus on the method based on zones, which is our previous work, and in this work, we make this better. So what is our contribution? We give a new fixed point computation. Now with this new fixed point computation, we get 2 advantages. The first one is that the fixed point computation terminates for a larger class of timed automata. In particular, it terminates for the class of timed automata with bounded subtraction. Now this model is used to model preemptive scheduling. It was shown in this paper. And the second advantage is the overall reachability algorithm becomes faster when we use this parameter computed using the new computation. So we have a prototype implementation of this algorithm in a tool called tchecker. We have run this prototype on some examples, and here is a snapshot of the results that we get. So the things to note here are in the blue part. So these are examples of schedulability. And in these examples, our previous fixed point computation does not terminate, whereas the new one does. And in the red part, the overall reachability algorithm with the new computation is faster than the previous one. Now, before we go into our contribution, first, let's see some more details about this method based on zones. So first, let us see how the zone graph is built. So the nodes of this graph are a pair Q and Z, where Q is a state of the automaton and Z is a zone. A zone is just a convex set containing valuations. Now in the automaton, there might be several outgoing edges from the state Q, say T1, T2 up to Tn. For each such edge Ti, we compute a successor Qi, Zi. Now, do we always explore this node Qi, Zi? If there exists another node Qi, Zi prime, which we have already explored, such that this node simulates this new node Qi, Zi, then we do not explore Qi, Zi. Now in this talk, we will use this particular simulation relation which we are going to define. Now note here that we only check simulation between two nodes where the states are the same. In this case, they both are Qi. Now let's try to define the simulation relation. So we need the relation to be between two nodes. So Qz is simulated by Qz prime if for every valuation belonging to the zone Z, there exists some valuation V prime belonging to the zone Z prime such that the configuration QV is simulated by QV prime. We therefore reduce the relation between nodes to the relation between configurations of an automaton. Now before we define this, what is this G? So the G is a map from the locations of the automaton to sets of atomic constraints. That is, the map G associates a set of constraints GQ to every state Q of the automaton. Now what do we want out of this relation? The goal is to make this relation a simulation relation. Now for that, we need to ensure that for every transition from say Q to Q1 with the guard being G and the update being up in the automaton, if QV is simulated by QV prime, then first, after every delay delta, the resulting configurations, that is QV plus delta and QV prime plus delta, should preserve the simulation relation. So this is our first goal. The second goal is if the transition that we have already chosen is enabled from the configuration QV plus delta, that is, if the valuation V plus delta satisfies the guard G, then the valuation V prime plus delta must also satisfy the guard G. This is our second goal. The third goal is the ultimate configurations, that is Q1 up of V plus delta and Q1 up of V prime plus delta, should also preserve the simulation relation. Now, note here that we are trying to define the relation between two configurations where the states are the same. Therefore, we need a relation between the valuations. So we say QV is simulated by QV prime if the valuation V is simulated by the valuation V prime with respect to the set of constraints GQ. Now this is if for every constraint that belongs to this set GQ and for every delta, if the valuation V plus delta satisfies the constraint phi, then the valuation V prime plus delta must also satisfy the constraint phi. Now our first goal follows directly from the definition of this relation. Now to achieve the second goal, we add the guard G to the set GQ. Now if we see how the relation between the valuations is defined, then we'll see that if the transition is enabled from V plus delta, then that means V plus delta satisfies G. Now since V is simulated by V prime, then we know that V prime plus delta also must satisfy G. So the transition will be enabled from Q V prime plus delta as well. So this achieves our second goal. Now we are only remaining with the last goal. Now to make our notations a little simpler, we remove the deltas. So then our goal becomes, if QV is simulated by QV prime, then Q1 up of V should also be simulated by Q1 up of V prime. Now in order to achieve this goal, we first define a new constraint. So suppose you have a constraint phi and an update up. We define this new constraint up inverse of phi that we get by you replace all the clocks in phi by their corresponding updates. So for example, if phi is say x smaller than n and the update to x is z1 plus d1, then up inverse phi is z1 plus d1 smaller than n. Similarly, if phi is say x minus y less than n, then and the update to both the clocks x and y are z1 plus d1 and z2 plus d2 respectively, then up inverse of phi is z1 plus d1 minus z2 plus d2 smaller than n. Now we get a very interesting result that if V is simulated by V prime with respect to the constraint up inverse of phi, then up of V is simulated by up of V prime with respect to the constraint phi. Now this then enables us to achieve the goal by doing, for every constraint in G of Q1, we add the up inverse of that constraint to G of Q. And this then achieves our third goal. We therefore get these two conditions on the sets GQ and GQ1 for every transition from Q to Q1. So this is how the parameter G map is computed. And we keep adding up inverse of phi to G of Q until we reach a fixed point for this G map. Now let us see a problem with this. Consider this example. So here we have three states. So the G map will contain three sets: G of Q0, G of Q1 and G of Q2. Now the first step, we add the guards to the G of its source. So we first add x minus y less than 1 to G of Q1 because of the edge from Q1 to Q2. Then we add x less than equal to 3 to G of Q0 because of the edge from Q0 to Q1. Now our first step is done. So now we try to find the fixed point. So this constraint x minus y less than 1 comes via the edge Q0 to Q1 to G of Q0, and the up inverse of x minus y less than 1 becomes x minus y less than 2. So the constant in this constraint increases by 1 in the up inverse because of the update x equal to x minus 1. Now similarly, x less than equal to 3 goes to g of q1 because of the edge from q1 to q0, but it goes unchanged because we do not have any update. Now again x less than equal to 3 goes to g of q0, again the constant increases by 1 and it becomes x less than equal to 4, and x minus y less than 2 goes to g of q1. Now this thing continues. As we can see, each time a constraint gets added to g of q0, the constant increases by 1. So g of q0 becomes infinite, g of q1 also becomes infinite, whereas g of q2 remains an empty set. So then the fixed point computation in this algorithm does not terminate. So the question is, can we do something about it? So let's see. So let's consider this constraint x minus y less than 3, which is part of g of q1. Now we had to ensure this. If q0 v is simulated by q0 v prime, then after taking these transitions, the resulting configurations, that is q1 up of v, remains simulated by q1 of up of v prime. Now we have seen that if we add up inverse of x minus y less than 3 to the set g of q0, then indeed this relation will be preserved. However, the question is, do we really need to add this up inverse to the set g of q0? But first note that the constraint x less than equal to 3 belongs to the set g of q0 because of the transition q0 to q1. Now, since we have assumed that q0 of v is simulated by q0 of v prime, we know that v is simulated by v prime with respect to the set g of q0, and g of q0 already contains the constraint x less than equal to 3. Now, we also know that the transition is enabled at the valuation v. So that means the valuation v satisfies x less than equal to 3. Since v is simulated by v prime, then v prime also satisfies the constraint x less than equal to 3. Then, after the update, up of v prime will satisfy the constraint x strictly less than 3. This is because actually up of v prime will satisfy the constraint x less than equal to 2. So definitely it will satisfy x strictly less than 3. Then up of v prime will also satisfy x minus y less than 3 because y has to be bigger than equal to 0. Then if we take any delay delta, it will also be the case that up of v prime plus delta satisfies x minus y less than 3 because this delta will get cut because it will get added to both x and y. And then this implication will trivially hold because the right hand side of this implication is true. And if we remember, this is exactly the definition that we had for a simulation between two valuations. So we will get that up of v is simulated by up of v prime with respect to the constraint x minus y strictly less than 3. Now if we see that this is the implication that we wanted to hold, and this indeed holds even if we do not add up inverse to the set g of q0. So in order to satisfy the condition that q1 up of v is simulated by q1 up of v prime, we do not need to add up inverse of x minus y less than 3, which is actually x minus y less than 4, to the set g of q0. So now if we go back to our computation, we will see that this was not required. So the diagonal propagation will stop at x minus y less than 3 being added to g of q0. It will not be further propagated to g of q0. Now, the sets g of q0 and g of q1 are still infinite because of the non-diagonal constraint x less than equal to 5. here. Because x less than equal to 5 will again be propagated to g of q0 and then again to g of q1 and so on. So can we do something about that as well? So consider this non-diagonal x less than equal to 3 in g of q1. Now again, we have assumed that q0 of v is simulated by q0 of v1 and we want this simulation relation to still hold. Now the question is, do we need to add up inverse of this to g of q0? So again we note that x less than equal to 3 already belongs to the set g of q0. We have also seen this relation in the case of the diagonal that we just considered. Now if we recall the definition of the simulation between two valuations, we see that v prime x must be less than equal to vx, because otherwise if vx is smaller than v prime of x, then we will always be able to find some delta so that vx plus delta is still less than 3, whereas v prime x plus delta crosses the value 3, and then that will contradict the fact that v is simulated by v prime. Now, since the update is the same to both the valuations v and v prime, we will still have the relation that up of v prime x is less than equal to up of v of x. And then we can see that for all delta, this implication will hold. And then we will get that up of v is simulated by up of v prime with respect to the constraint x less than equal to 3. So again we see that in order to have the relation between the up v and up v prime, we do not need to add up inverse of the constraint to the set g of q0. Now with this, if we again go back to our previous computation, then we will see that this is not required because we don't have to add up inverse of x less than equal to 3 to the set g of q0. And so all these propagations will stop. Therefore, we will get that the sets gq0 and gq1 both are finite. So in the paper we have shown some more cases where we do not need to propagate this up inverse. So we have defined something called a pre. So in some of the cases this pre becomes the constraint true, so we do not have to add anything. So in the algorithm we remove this up inverse and we put the pre instead of that. So this is our new fixed point computation. Now this terminates for the class of timed automata with bounded subtraction, which was introduced in this paper. Now in this model we have only updates of the form x equal to 0 or x equal to x minus n, where n is a natural number, and every transition that has this subtraction update must have x less than equal to a constant or x strictly less than a constant in the guard. Now if we remember the example that we have seen, if we see this transition, this is the only transition where we have a subtraction update, and here the guard indeed contains an upper bound on x. So this is actually a timed automaton with bounded subtraction, and for this example the old fixed point was not terminating, whereas the new fixed point terminates. However, it may still not terminate on certain examples. Now it has become more difficult to check whether the fixed point is going to terminate. So previously we could check this in polynomial time. Now if the constant in the automaton are represented in unary, then it is still p time. However, if the constants are written in binary, then checking whether the fixed point is going to terminate or not becomes p space complete. So to summarize, in this work, we propose a new fixed point computation to compute the GMAP, where while propagating a constraint along a transition, we also take into account the guard of the transition, which we were not doing previously. Now this results in lesser number of propagations, which we have already seen in this talk, and hence the GMAP computation terminates for larger class of timed automata. Also, the smaller G sets results in faster simulation checks between two nodes in the zone graph, and hence it speeds up the overall reachability algorithm. So that is it for the talk. Thanks for your attention.